our main objective is always to maximize our profit or minimize our cost. So we choose our metrics wisely, and we use them in order to minimize our costs. So we're going to now look at the effect that our measures have, those performance measures have, on the financial performance of a company. So we're really interested in our overall supply chain performance. Now, the ways to measure that are endless. So we're going to take a look at two almost opposite ways of measuring it. So for example, here, we could measure it by process area. So planning, sourcing, distribution, production areas. And then under each of them, we could have some performance measures. So for example, under production, maybe we want to measure our cost per unit. And then that cost per unit is then broken out into material costs and labor costs. Likewise, under distribution, maybe we want to measure our delivery performance. Is that important to us? So you can see how all of these start from the very top, our supply chain performance, and then roll down through a very bottom level. This is just a snapshot of what it may look like. Obviously, it would be a lot deeper. Now, maybe we want to measure our supply chain performance by characteristic. So reliability or flexibility, cost, performance. So remember, this all comes from our competitive strategy. Under each of these are certain metrics that we want to have a certain threshold set for. So, for example, if we're a very cost-conscious company, we want to maybe measure cost of goods sold or our cash-to-cash cycle time, and we want to set certain thresholds based on our competitive strategy. If we want to be a very responsive company, on the other hand, remember it's a balancing act between cost and responsiveness. So maybe if we want to be a very responsive company, we want to pay particular attention to our delivery performance. So how many shipments did we ship on time and in full? So all of these metrics have an effect on our overall profit. We know that profit is revenue minus cost, so let's take a look at some of the metrics that affect the revenue performance and some of the metrics that affect the cost performance. So let's look at revenue first. Now, if our objective is to increase our revenue, maybe we want to look at how many returns we get. That has a negative effect on our revenue. What is our lead time? What is our quality? All those things can have an effect on our revenue, and we want to increase our revenue. Maybe we want to create metrics that specifically attack our fill rates. We want to make sure we focus on that, or our stockouts. So you want to make sure that your metrics are focused on what you're trying to achieve. So if we're trying to increase revenue, maybe these are some of the factors we want to look at and set metrics accordingly. Now, on the other hand, maybe we're interested in minimizing cost, and we have a certain cost focus or concentration on that. So we want to look at, can we reduce our transportation costs? Can we reduce our supplier costs? Maybe there's a different supplier base we can look at. Can we reduce our admin costs? Or how accurate are our forecasts? Forecast accuracy is very dependent on what your costs are going to be, because that's going to determine whether you have back orders or you have too much inventory. So maybe you want to put some metrics in place. If you're looking at trying to cut costs, you want to put some metrics in place for the company to achieve that will help minimize the cost.